To some people, you might say, Perry, if you keep changing your one thing, you come across as flimsy and you never really make up your mind. You do change your ideas sometimes. I'm good enough to know that each one thing is not really subtracting from each other from the perspective of that one big thing. Instead, each one discrete one thing is adding up and summing up to be more than the total of each one of them. So they all contribute to the one big thing. Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about purpose of life and how I think about from the macro life arc to the micro life arc, and a little bit of my theory on life. One of my favorite entrepreneurs is Yu Minhong, who has this video, is in Chinese, and translated into English, he said, a person is on earth for only one important thing, no more than one. And the longer this one important thing takes, the more successful and more grounded that important thing will blossom. In his case, it's education. He want to create the best education system in China. His entire life is devoted to that. And he compared life success to a tree. If it takes only a couple years for the tree to grow up, that tree doesn't have the good foundation. If that tree takes about 10 years to grow, then at least it's a 10-year plus tree. If it takes hundreds of years or thousands of years for that tree to grow, then that is a tree that will basically couldn't die. Recently, I also talked to a pretty wise entrepreneur during a trip. He was a professional athlete, and he compared that the people who went all the way to the top very quickly, they tend also to fall very quickly. But the people who go to the top slowly tend to stay at the top longer, and it takes longer time for them to gradually descend. So those types who gradually improve, stay at the top longer, and gradually decline have a longer professional athlete career. Recently, a person asked me, what is my dream in life? And I said, my dream in life is to be the godfather of commercial real estate and technology. Now, to be honest, I'm not qualified to say that, given the size of our company. I am like 20 years away from saying that. But I still said that to this one friend. And it does make me think a person has truly only one important thing in life. Like, what are they here to do? Now, you might say this doesn't apply to most people, and that could be a true statement. I think some of the most successful people, they truly believe that they have one important thing to do on earth. That's the arc of one's life. How does that translate into the arc of day-to-day? And that is the inspiration I have for this video today. If the arc of life is one thing, then every day, every week has an arc as well. And I have found that my happiest moments are every week I have something to obsess about. Now that the company is more stable, every week I have something, just one thing that my only focus is on this one thing. Everything else will wait. And then that translated into every day, even though I have called it 5 to 6 action items I need to do. But the one thing is more important than everything else combined. I still need to do the other 4 things because they are needed to move the company forward. But there's one thing that is both important and urgent. And that one thing every day lines up with the one thing every week. And that one thing every week lines up with one thing every month. 3 weeks ago, I was obsessed with an architecture design that can help us scale more into the future. Basically, what is a first-class citizen? Is it capital raising, or is it asset management, or is something that's combined? I spent that whole week convincing the company to undo something we have already built because the other version is more scalable. And I spent the whole week just obsessing over that topic, even though that topic is not even relevant to what folks are doing kind of right now. But it is relevant because it trickled down the micro decision they're trying to make that week. And I basically zoom out and say, this decision could have a domino effect of all the decisions to come. So let me think about that one macro decision in the future and to rewind it back so that we can make the right technical decision today. That was 1 week. Then following week, I was obsessed with a new legal capital raising structure that is where the wind is blowing. And so I spent a whole week talking about that within the team. And then all of this week is all about equity refreshers, morale of the company. How do I think about financials and profitability and so on? And then next week, I might think about the webinar and things what I need to do for next month. And then next week, it might be all about fintech and how can we make banking better. So like every week I have one thing, and then every day I also have one thing. And then if I do that one thing, everything else doesn't matter. Now that I say this, I will say working out is that one thing. Like every day when I wake up, it's been like 6 months now. I still don't like working out, to be honest. But that is the one thing I need to do because that's the hardest thing I need to do. If I do that one thing, everything else becomes easy. Same thing with the company. Every week, every day, I have one thing to do. The goal of this video is to say, if you have high ambition, your life is probably be defined by a very important thing. You are on earth just to do the one very important thing. And that is conveyed by the video of someone I highly respect. And the longer you work on this one very important thing, the more successful you are at that one very important thing. And then if you trickle down, every year has a single thing. Usually there are no more than one thing. Obviously, this is on career. Your personal life may have a different thing and so on. So you could have multiple things in your life, but within career, there's usually just one thing. And then trickle down to a quarter, you have one thing. Trickle down to a month, you have one thing. But every day, you also just doing one big important thing. I realize I tend to fail or have a lot of pressure or don't feel good when I don't have an important thing, where I'm worried about a bunch of things. When that's the case, if you give an example, in the early days of a startup, you worry about a lot of things. But even then, I make a priority queue of all the important things and then focus on one thing. I know this sounds very counterintuitive because I do a lot of things. But in my mind, there's only one thing that is truly important. What is that important thing? The way I say it is, if that thing fails and you do everything else correct, it's still a failure. If you do that thing really well and then everything else don't succeed, you still had a successful day. And that's what I mean by one thing. And I turned that also into like a company culture to some degree, where I said the company can be broken down into engineering, product, customer success, sales, marketing, cold outreach, and sales in SDRs. For sales, as example, the one thing that is really important is just following up. Being very disciplined about CRM and following up. Typing. Typing is the one thing that sales should do. With engineering, the one thing is ship things. Make progress. Shipping something. Test it. Iterate. But shipping is the one thing. With customer success, the one thing is to actually know about the product. Play with the product. Be curious. Click on things to see if it breaks things. And then for product, the one thing is actually going on customer calls. Because if you don't go on customer calls, you don't know anything about what the customers want. It's pretty simple, but all these roles have like 20 other things going on. But the most important thing is that one thing. So I have almost an elevated understanding of what one thing means. To me, a successful person, I think, has one thing on earth, a very one important thing. The longer that one thing takes, usually more foundation is getting built up. The longer that one thing takes, it tends to be more robust and fault tolerant. Then it gets broken down into how do you get to that one thing year by year with discipline. Then it translates back into month over month. Then it translates into every week and then every day. I don't exactly think about every hour, to be honest, because I think of things as one day. This day, what do I want to do? Every week, what do I want to do? Now, the other thing I found really interesting is I don't set out to be like, this week, I want to do X. I don't always do that. It's just that one thing kind of happened to me. And I just get so obsessed with that one thing. So like, it's not like Monday, I know exactly what will happen. Monday comes along and I'm like, okay, I think I know X is the most important thing. But then because of something happened on Monday, Tuesday comes along. I was like, this is the most important thing. So I change course. To some people, you might say, Perry, if you keep changing your one thing, you come across as flimsy and you never really make up your mind. You do change your ideas sometimes. And to that, I will say that is a very valid trade-off. Because that one thing, I'm good enough to know that each one thing is not really subtracting from each other from the perspective of that one big thing. Instead, each one discrete one thing is adding up and summing up to be more than the total of each one of them. So they all contribute to the one big thing. Imagine your most important thing in life as the big thing. The question is, are those small things adding up or subtracting from the big thing? And as long as they are adding up, you are doing it fine. Now, let's give it a corollary on why this is important. So in the company, there are folks that thought that they have to do a lot of things. So earlier last week, I saw a really good engineer that have basically multiple projects they are close to shipping. Every feature is on a PR review. They're about to ship. They're all about to ship like in the next 2 or 3 days. But then 2 or 3 days later, each one has a small hiccup, and then all of them were also to be shipped the next 2 or 3 days. So there were like 4 bugs that need to be shipped. So when I asked about the 4 bugs, all of them are in the to be ready stage. And I made this comment of like, right now, from a customer perspective, all 4 of them have not been shipped. It will be better if you do them in sequence. So at least I can forget about 1, 2, and 3. And so wait until those ship. So I only care about that one thing. Right now, it's like you're doing a lot of work. And there's no question about the hard work. But nothing really got done. That is the con of trying to do too many things. I would much rather each thing gets shipped in sequence. So my advice for the entrepreneurs or engineers or anyone is to ship one thing at a time. You can make progress on them because you do something towards one thing and then you're pretty much done for the day and you need to wait for some response to make more progress. Sure, you can take your time and work on the next thing. That's fine. I'm not saying do one thing always sequentially. I am saying this mindset of like, oh, nothing really gets done, but everything is in motion. You can also say, Perry, you seem pretty hypocritical because you are someone who create like 7 products and everything is like going, simultaneously and nothing is really successful. So isn't that like a problem? My response to that is because I do, from my own time allocation perspective, every week I have one big thing. And because I dedicate it to the team of one big thing, the company is moving in parallel. And because by doing so, it is better for the company because our value proposition is all in one. And as such, it is the right thing to do. I realize all these philosophies, you can find the loophole in it. And what we could have done is do one thing at a time and ship each one. The problem to me is if I ship one thing at a time from a customer perspective, they don't feel like it's useful. So the thing the customer find most useful is all of them coming up at the same time. But I don't think of it as a contradicting my philosophy. This is why nobody can really give you a bullet point towards success. Because even when I give you this philosophy, you think that this is like contradicting of what I'm going in life. So to wrap up, I'm very grateful to have found that one important thing, the one big thing. And the insight that I want to convey is in addition to that big thing, every day, every month, every week should be about one thing. And if you are doing that, whether you sign up for it or not, that every week you have one thing you obsess about, to me, that is a good sign. As long as those small things don't cancel each other out, you are adding them and you are accumulating. And the longer that one big thing takes, the more success you should have. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time. Bye-bye.